And welcome everyone to chapter 19
Ah, you
for
got it right.
the Mandalorian.
Or Mando for short. The
No, I was
Mando.
making this show is just turning into Andor joke. So it's
Yeah.
the Mandalorian.
Uh-oh. We're gonna
I
have
sat there for
to
hours thinking of that,
discussion.
and I just wasted it on Sean. Wow. So some of
Yeah.
the comments appreciate that. That was funny. I was like, hang on a minute. People going, it's Mandal. It's like Andor, but Mandalorian has Andor in it. How can I figure this one out? Mandalorian.
Here I thought we were gonna have a great discussion. No, we're just gonna devolve
I
into
mean, I'm not poo-pooing the show. I'll be honest. This did Andor better than Andor, and with
nah.
a character that's been in 5 seconds of a half-hour episode. This was far better and far more interesting than anything that thing put
I
out.
I
But anyway,
respectfully disagree with that, but
this
we'll leave that there.
I enjoyed this, even though it
Yeah.
is very like both sides are bad. And
Yeah. Well, I
if
mean,
I
come
had if I had to knock this though,
on.
in any shape or form, it would be I don't know where this currently fits into the narrative of season 3.
Yeah. Well, you're at the beginning of the season, so like, of course, you're gonna have that
I mean, yeah, but
notion there.
you can go to like season 3 of season or episode 3 of season 2, and you can kind of see where it fits in. This was such a hey, here's a dogfight, like a really
Yeah.
cool dogfight, by the way. I
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah.
that. And then
There's
it goes into this, and then it ends with, "Hey, by the way, Bo-Katan just joined a cult,"
I
and
was just gonna say,
it was
you've summed up
it's
the
like
whole episode in that conversation, and that's the end of the show.
thank you, we are done. Goodbye till next week. But yeah, I know
I mean,
it's slightly disjointed. Like nothing in the show was bad. I enjoyed the
no,
whole thing. I just felt like this one was slightly disjointed. Just
I
like,
think, I think, well, I think that it's like with everything. As seasons go by, you build the mytho. You have, you end up having these moments or these episodes where it's kind of like, where does this fit in? You know, and like,
yeah,
question, like,
I sure it's gonna come back round. This doctor guy is gonna play a part, or at least she's gonna play a part in something. I
yeah,
get it. It's as it stands right now for what just happened with like the lead of the show.
yeah.
It feels very disconnected. But
Disconnected, of course, because it has nothing to do with like
yeah,
the main
it's like
character.
where the hell
But
does this fit in? Like,
it does have a connection in a way. I mean, there's a connection. He was the doctor that was operating on Grogu or Baby Yoda for the people out there that want to call it that. And it does have. It feels like a beginning of something. Like this seems like the beginning of a certain regime. Like
I mean, yeah, I get that. I get the purpose of it is to set
yeah,
up this is how Palpatine returned.
yeah. I
Right?
mean, it's
I
giving
get
you
that. It just feels awkward in its placement.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah, yeah.
hey, here's Din and here's Bo and here's Grogu. They are
Oh,
doing
here,
this thing over here. We
here's
are, the marketing campaign for this season is, hey, Mandalore is about to come back. We are full steam ahead into this.
yeah.
But let's take a half-hour sidebar to focus on random Doctor Guy from
Here's 20
5 years
minutes
ago.
of here's 20
Right.
minutes of a explanation from a movie that came out like 2 or 3 years ago, or
Well,
whatever.
explanation for a movie that came out 3 years ago that didn't explain anything. Somehow
Kind of.
Palpatine returned is the extent of what we got.
It's true. Well, we got more context in the book than we did than in the
Yeah. To be fair, Star Wars is notorious for homework, and that is hilarious. You
yeah.
actually had to study to understand what was going on.
I mean, that's how it is with these franchises. Like I mean,
It's how it is when you chop and change about everything. Though.
like
But that's neither here nor there. That's not this show. That's that movie.
yeah. I mean, I've rather enjoyed that little moment. with the doctor. 20-minute moment. I should say the 20-minute moment with the doctor and like the lady. Can't remember her name.
Was it
that whole
G56 or
yeah
58? I can't.
th
I know.
th138.
What was he? Was he L57 or something? It was something like that.
That to me like that was just like wow, like and I like that's the one that's the things I liked about Andor is like, and I'm sure I'm in the minority, I'm on an island by myself with I guess
I'm sure all 6 of you that watched Andor and enjoyed it were are very comfortable on the island. I wouldn't complain about that.
Our friends at the Nerd Academy are on my side on that on that one, but I kind of like the whole like he basically it reminded me of Operation Paperclip, back in the days where they took the Nazis in to
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely
and then they also gave me shades of Zola, Arnim Zola from Winter Soldier.
Oh, again, it's still in the same like Operation Paperclip sense, isn't it? It's still very much like, hey, we understand not everyone. Well, that's from a non-politician standpoint. It's like, hey, not every Nazi was bad, even though every Nazi was bad. But like, it's you're more helpful for us over here than you would be over there. Like,
we're gonna use your abilities to further our agenda. Yeah, but that's that's a Star Wars DNA though. We're talking about politics. As far back as politics has been injected into this franchise since day one.
But it's just a bit. I know it's all shades of grey, but it's like.
I like that. I like those moments because it's like it reminds me that the rebellion or the New Republic wasn't the guys in a white hat. Like as they were painted as.
And also, I get it. This is also. Well, just kind of picking apart my own criticism. This is setting up the reason why there's another rebellion going on, because the New Republic is just as bad as the Empire. Like, I totally get that.
Yeah, like one big government always. Like when you install a government in any country, it tends to be corrupt eventually. But I
end of the day, Coruscant doesn't survive anyway, so
yeah, that rock is I agree with you. It did seem kind of disjointed at the time for the time being, like it just feels kind of interjected into this like situation. I don't know. It didn't really hurt my enjoyment of the episode. I think
it doesn't. It didn't hurt anything. It's just It was just odd. I find it an odd place to put it, especially when you're bookending it with like a tiny little bit story of Din and Bo-Katan. But
it reminded me of the Book of Boba Fett in a way, like that when those episodes just kind of like started like showing where it was like Boba kind of bookended the episode, but like in the middle it was like Din and the rest of the Mandalorians.
In those episodes, there was a whole bit where Bubba wasn't even in the episode.
That's true. But like that gave me kind of reminded me of that a little bit. I did, but I gotta tell you though, like the Mandalorians that are like the armor and stuff like that are kind of creepy, right?
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, the more this goes on, it's like this is weird.
Yeah, it gives me shades of like I don't know, like.
She's a manipulator, right? Because the whole just to focus on this whole thing here, this pure. It feels very fortune tellery. You know how you get these fortune tellers and they all ask simple questions and questions. Like this all like manipulation to an extent. She does that here with Bo because like.
And you can tell that she's falling for it too.
A little bit, yeah. It's just like,
Well, I think
Have
she
you been in the
preys
water?
on
And it's like, yeah, I've been in the water. It's like, have you taken your helmet off since? It's like, no. It's like, well, then you're one of us then. It's just like, oh, maybe
well,
like it's just easily manipulated. It doesn't help her. She's just lost her house, her
yeah, I was
castle,
gonna
her
say like
house, her
she's
home.
preying on her insecurities and like what
Yeah,
she's like, what she's going through in her mind because like one, she's lost. Like I mean, from Mandalorian season 2 to now, she's ended up losing the Darksaber, her throne, her
yeah.
people, and now her home. You know, so like
It's like, hey, look, you're
she's a very
welcome
vulnerable.
here.
Like she's very vulnerable to
Mm.
deception and to to persuasion.
Ironically, also a very funny way of like not paying Sackhoff to appear on screen. It's like, you're one of us now. We don't take our helmets off. Like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Welcome to the club. We'll
Fantastic.
just do ADR for for the rest of the episodes.
But I find
Yeah.
it's a very interesting turn for that character to take. Like after watching it, Clone Wars and all that sort of stuff, it's like it's very un-Bo-Katan like, I feel.
Well, I mean, I think it comes down to just her insecure. Like she's obviously falling for she's drinking the Kool-Aid, right now.
Yeah.
And like she's at a weak point in her life, and she's like, it's like, I mean, she was at a weak point at the beginning of the season. I think now it's even worse because she's now lost her home. Now she's basically homeless.
Mm.
So like, and these
I
people
also
are going,
think,
"Oh, you're one of us." Welcome to the
as
family.
yeah, I think you can look at it that way. On the flip side, you can look at it like, she's just seen the mythosaur. She's found out Mandalore isn't this cursed rock, or no, she knew it wasn't a cursed rock. Like, she found out like there's all this
There's some
stuff here.
truth.
Like this thing is here. Like how can she get
There's some
like,
truth. Yeah.
the people back without the Darksaber? Hey, mythosaur's right there.
And it's pretty interesting that she didn't really outright say anything. She asked a couple questions, like vague questions, like, "Hey, did you see something alive down there?" And it's interesting that she didn't tell Dinge, like the Mando, "Hey, did you see, this thing, like exists?" And she didn't divulge it to them either. I think she's trying to, what's the word, plan a coup, kind of infiltrate these
100%.
people.
Yeah, it's the next best thing to the Darksaber, right? You haven't got a Darksaber, cool, not going to follow you. What will make them trust me?
A gigantic mythosaur.
If I can get back to that mythosaur, and because it's the armor is all about the old ways. Bo-Katan isn't about it's not the religious side of the whole Mandalorian stuff.
Yeah.
So I can see it being a case of she's going to go to use it while still actually buying into it at some point, and then that's how she's going to use that to get back.
Yeah, I think you could go to one of two ways: that she drinks the Kool-Aid, or she's doing this on purpose.
I think you can have both. I think you don't have necessarily have one or the other. I think you can do both.
Yeah. But I mean, like that, it's
a bit like a Joel in any situation, right? Like you can you're using one person, but you end up being like actually caring about that stuff. So I reckon that's the route they're going to take with it, to be honest.
Well, because like it's I feel like it is kind of weirdly out of character for Bo to be like, oh yeah, okay, but like I could understand why she's doing it.
Oh yeah, like I never have a problem. I say never. Characters acting out of character isn't inherently a bad thing.
No,
because people act out of character all the time. Like as you said, like she's at a low point. The people aren't following her. She hasn't got the Darksaber. She hasn't got a home anymore. Like, hey, easily manipulated. You're gonna act out of character. That's what being manipulated is.
No. Yeah, and maybe she's she's manipulated a manipulator. She wants to try to manipulate control over the clan.
Exactly.
Like, start a coup. Like, because I have a feeling we're gonna get a lot of interesting things about the armor in the season. Like it's a lot of.
Oh, do you have that feeling? Have I got to edit that out for Feige's sake? We know Feige's very temperamental right now.
My spider sense is tingling. That's all.
Oh, sorry, it's not Feige's. Kathleen Kennedy's obviously on the chill pill right now.
Yeah, she's okay with it. She's okay.
She's like, I just kicked Feige and Jenkins out. Like, I don't give a crap. feet up, smoking a cigar.
She didn't kick Feige.
Of course, she kicked Feige.
She's not the demon spawn that people were making out.
I mean, she out of 3 people, you know, Feige, Jenkins, and Taika. Like, if you want to make yourself look like a demon right now, you keep the one that people aren't currently hot on. That's exactly what she's done. But then again, you had 3 people when people aren't really hot on Wonder Woman 84 and Thor at the minute, so you kind of.
Well, I think could have gone either way there. I think Feige wants to make a Star Wars, but like right now, his plate is full, man.
As I say, Marvel's doing a lot. Star Wars needs to actually sort its life out right now.
Yeah, it's at a turning point in their life, the relationship.
Because speaking of, because what I found completely out of the episode though, what I find interesting is this season so far isn't doing that hot.
Doing what?
Like people watching it. No one's really watching this season.
I mean, it's 3 episodes in.
Yeah, but it's coming under Book of Boba Fett and Andor. Yeah. I think not Andor. Kenobi, I think it was. It's coming under a couple of them, and I'm just like, what?
I mean, I don't see a lot of people talking about it, but that I don't know.
But that's a pretty good indicator, though, But the last 2 seasons of this show, you couldn't escape it.
Yeah,
I know it's been a couple of years, and maybe Boba Fett was a bit of a dud for people. I don't know, but
maybe the light's kind of dying out on the character. I don't know. Maybe 3 seasons is too much. I don't know. But I don't know.
No, I'm not going to sit here and speculate. It was just more of I just found it really interesting that the numbers are like not as hot.
Well, I think it's just a lot of stuff happening. A lot of things happen. It's interesting to see that no one's talking about it, which is kind of wild to me. Because seeing that I think the character still seems like people like it. I don't know. You got an actor that is white hot right now playing the character.
I'll be honest. I think The Last of Us might have hurt at least the start of this season. I think The Last of Us might have hurt it personally.
Maybe maybe where people are just trying to play catch up with that show. I wouldn't be surprised if next couple episodes are the viewership is up a little bit. I don't know. Speculating. I have no idea. I don't know. I watched it, so it's
I watched it. I adored it. Admittedly, I literally only watched it today, which is Thursday, the 16th. But that's because I currently had no living room and I wanted to be comfortable watching it. But that's not the hint of
First world problem.
It's very much, especially in this day and age, just very first world problem. Just housework. Oh, okay. Well, good for you. We can't pay our lucky bill. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and to go back, I love how cinematic the fight, the TIE fighter scene was. I mean,
it was only the other day I was talking to people. I can't remember who I was talking to. I think it was guys in the Discord about how Star Wars isn't known for dogfights anymore. And I'm like, we've always had good dogfights in Star Wars, like the recent Star Wars, but it's not. It's like, you know what? It might be a good point because you don't really hear anyone talking about the dogfights, and I'm like,
and when they I think the last time I enjoyed a scene like that in a Star Wars one was that first Force Awakens with the Millennium Falcon chase scene. That was fun. I think that's what it was a real bummer to me that the Patty Jenkins one was kind of just nixed, not reassigned to somebody, because I think that would have been a lot. I think that would have been really fun.
I mean, it
was a fun idea.
Talking to people about this, I like the concept of the Rogue Squadron or whatever movie, the Rogue movie that was.
Yeah.
Jenkins put me off it instantly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that didn't really do anything negatively for me. I still enjoy some of the stuff that she's done. I
I mean,
understand why
I
people don't
enjoyed the
like it.
first half of Wonder Woman, but you look at like 84. This is a complete
I don't.
side. Like you look at 84 and how she handled the plane scene in that. I'm like,
But
eh,
do you think that
okay.
has a lot? Do you think that studio manipulation had a lot to do with those movies being duds? Because like, come
I
on,
mean, possibly.
Warner Brothers is known for meddling in
I
stuff,
mean, possibly, but on
especially
the
at
flip
that era.
side, she's not coming back for Wonder Woman 3. She's lost that. So, and that's a
I
completely
mean,
different regime, a different studio. So,
well,
there's
I
obviously
think I
something
see.
there that's not.
Well, I see that as like they're just wiping the table clean. That's how I get it. I think they're just
Yeah, but
wiping
if
the
you're
table
keeping the
clean.
one, like they're still making Wonder Woman 3 though, just not with Jenkins.
I don't know. Maybe there was a conflict of interest. Who knows? I don't know what the
I
conversations
mean,
were like
sure there
behind the
was. They
scenes.
wanted a good movie and they weren't going to get it. That's
Well,
definitely a conflict of interest.
yeah, I don't know. I still was really intrigued with the Rogue Squadron, especially with like I mean, growing up, the original Star Wars, there was a good amount of like space battles in that, in
Oh
that
yeah, yeah.
trilogy, and I think further and further as the years gone on, I think it became more politically, a political
Yeah,
satire.
the politics came more to the forefront. They
And
weren't so
it,
subtle about it as they were in the original.
and that started with George though. That started with the prequels. I think that started
Well,
with the
I say subtle in the originals. They weren't subtle in the slightest, but subtle to the kids because
yeah,
could be done.
but like the prequels really kind of like I think started that whole like we're
Yeah.
gonna put a lot of this stuff on the back burner and we're gonna focus more on the minutia of the government.
I
You
also
know,
think because obviously the prequels had their dogfights and you can enjoy them whatever, but
yeah,
I think a lot of the magic behind the originals were that they're real to
yeah,
an
they're
extent.
tangible. Yeah, they had like
Yeah,
tangible
it's
things.
not just it's a few. It's not we have to go bigger and CGI and have 1,001 things going off at once. Like it's not that. Like that's why I really like this one. Like yes, there's a lot
Yeah,
of TIE fighters at the end, but it's only 4.
yeah, but
There's only
and
6 ships in total in any given shot of this thing. It's small. It's intense. It's them being. They're not
it's a
fighting back. It's
squadron.
just purely a chase. Like,
It's a squadron going one squadron going after two vehicles. Essentially.
yeah.
I yeah, I agree with the prequels. Like that they had
Especially
moments,
the was it
but
Revenge of the Sith, the opening?
yeah.
Like, oh, that's
Well, the
horrendous.
the thing that and the thing a lot of people loved about the original trilogy is like, look, they did what they worked with what they had, so they
Yeah,
had
yeah.
to use like physical miniatures and stuff. And I enjoy seeing because I remember taking a trip to Skywalker Ranch and seeing like a lot of the miniatures, and stuff like that. It's like, man, I
Mm.
wish stuff like this existed still. Like it
Yeah.
was, that stop motion like stuff and like CG kind of takes a lot of that magic away because it's just a projection basically. Like it's just some dude on a green screen or whatever. I not that I don't like it, like progression of the thing, but like I also like practical effects. Practical effects
Yeah,
are
yeah.
awesome to see.
Both have their place. One
Yeah.
shouldn't replace the other. Both have their place.
No, I think that there's a place for using the techniques that they used in the original and kind of like and just kind of accentuating with CGI. Not just like full blown like, but and on the flip side that the 360 thing that they're doing the Mando stuff on is like amazing. Like you can when you go into I've been into a room with 360 like
Oh, what
I
the
forgot what
volume?
the volume. Yeah,
Mm.
I've been in a room with the volume and it's like amazing. Like like you feel like you're at the place. I mean, like you can. I don't know how to explain it. Like you. I. I mean, I
It's
guess the generic.
immersive.
Yeah, I guess the generic way to say it is like I actually feel like I got transported to wherever it was.
Mm.
And it like it's almost flawless in a way. But like I still kind of miss the days of practical effects, because it's like it's an art form, that's lost almost. Like I love miniature stuff, like I
always appreciated miniature. I was always the art kid, and I always appreciated.
It's an art form, because you're taking an object and making it look like it's bigger than it not normal, or smaller than it normally is, and like I did appreciate it more when I did see the miniatures, because like these things are highly detailed. Like you can't I would chop off my left finger just to take one of these home,
Oh, is that it? Just a left finger.
Well,
wow.
there
go
was
big
a
or go home.
choice.
Make an actual sacrifice, Tish.
There was a choice, like they did ask me if I wanted to take my arm away, but like I felt like that was not.
I mean, at least the arm's worth it, right? No.
I don't know.
The monkey's paw of then how do you carry it home? Like they get the last laugh.
Well, like I if robotics was like what it would be in the future, sure, take my arm. I don't care. Give me a prosthetic robotic arm. You can take it off if you want to.
But then those American medical bills would be way too high.
Nah, it'd be poor.
But the flip side, you can run around like the kids in Book of Boba Fett and have a space Vesper as well, and really stand out in the sand.
I can have a 1-to-1 scale to Millennium Falcon sitting in my room, but while I'm sitting in my wheelchair, because I cannot enjoy it physically anymore. I don't know, but that dogfight at the beginning was really, and it felt cinematic too. Like you feel like this. That's the one thing a lot of people ding. One of the biggest things about Star Wars people ding it is like it's not as cinematic as it was, back in the day. Like it's like some of the TV shows were just. I mean, I would argue that Obi-Wan was cinematic.
That's been I've seen that conversation at around at the minute, and that's an interesting one to take in. That I very much disagree with a certain side of that because I love that show.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like it was a cinematic thing, and I think the CG was good. Like on.
It was used well, yeah.
I think it was on par, and like they used a lot of practical locations, which was nice. But I think that's the thing with Star Wars is like it's a futuristic place that doesn't exist, so you have to do something. You have to be somewhere. Like there's no place like Coruscant in the world. So.
My thing with Star Wars now, and a few other people seem to be agreeing with me recently, is we've lost the random aliens.
Yeah, that's true.
It's more just people, and it's really. It's one of those things where it's an obvious gradual decline.
Yeah.
And it's now you don't notice it until it's gone. You're like, well, where's my frog lady?
Now
what happened to frog lady? Like
now it's just a human with a garbage pasted on their face half the time. So like, but
it's like where's the real random like sure we got what looked like what I see in the mirror on the train in this episode. It's just like, hey, that's me. The big fat hairy guy on the train, but not that I'm hairy, but I'm half the way there. I can only grow the same kind of beard as he had, but
I saw myself in that day too. So.
Like that's probably the best one we've had for a while, but it's never like the really weird and wacky ones anymore, and I kind of miss that.
Yeah,
I'm really missing it.
There's nothing like walking into the cantina for the first time in Star Wars, where it was just like wall to wall, like there was maybe
like humans were rare in Star Wars at one point. Obviously, not really rare because
I mean, if you
was tons.
Yeah, if you look at that scene in the original Star Wars, like even the normal quote unquote humans, they were kind of like dressed up, and they had like, I don't know, facial prosthetics or something, like I think, the only normal people that you could probably point your finger at was Luke, Obi-Wan, and Han. Everyone else was kind of like it was a hodgepodge of just.
It never felt like people were the majority, even though they clearly obviously were. But you go to a location, there's always a diverse look to everything.
Yeah, it definitely felt like an alien world when you walked into the cantina for the first time, and like you kind of, and you're right, it kind of gradually kind of walked away from that.
Now that might not help, obviously, because we've had nothing but shows since 3 years ago, right? 4 years ago. It's all been shows, and the prospects of doing all that and budgetary scheduling, I can kind of get it. I think kind of I get it. When the movie comes back, I expect it's gonna come back in full force.
Yeah,
pun intended. But
if you look at like the prequel sequels, like, or the sequel, I don't know how to say it, like the Return, like the Force Awakens and stuff like that. They did have they had a lot of alien, stuff and stuff like that. I don't know. I remember when they early announced that Star Wars was going to be making a lot of Star Wars TV shows. I remember, and it got nixed a while back, but they had the Bounty Hunter like anthology TV show in the works, and that bummed me out when they just kind of phased that out, because that would have been I think that would have been interesting, because like you had to make the bounty hunters look different, and you can't just have like Dengar, wrapped in toilet paper the whole entire time. Poor Dengar, I'm sorry. He was the life of the party. Especially
I think Bo-Katan's going to be the life of this cult party, though. Right?
Yeah,
I can see her getting quite spicy and butting heads with this, especially with Vizsla. Like Vizsla's always like, you are a hothead. Yeah,
Vizsla is a pouty boy in the corner, like just waiting for something to jump on. Like,
and let's be honest, the Vizslas and Katan, or what's Bo-Katan's name? Kreese.
Kreese, yeah.
Something like I actually can't remember. I know it's something like that. But like, they're virtually just two sides of the same coin, right? They're
like,
Mandalorians. They all think they got a claim to the throne. They all had it at one point, and they want it back. Like,
I think we talked about this a while, but the thing about the Mandalorian is like it's like an endless cycle of civil war. Like they have a moment of peace, and then like all of a sudden somebody says something, and the next thing you know, they're at war again with each other. Like they're never, like they're never happy with what they have. Like
it's almost like they're real people.
Yeah, it's a commentary on humanity, I guess. But
Star Wars is political. What? No.
Come on.
Yeah, but to wrap this up, I'm interested in where this episode really plays a part in this season's narrative. I thought it was handled well. I wasn't bored throughout it in the slightest. To poke at Andor again, I did think this is Andor better than Andor, by a mile. Maybe not cinematography wise, and it also doesn't have random hourly anvil guy in there. Like going ham every time the clock hits an hour. But this showed this, but it did what it could.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see where it fits in the narrative, and if it's a one-off, it'll be really odd, to have a one-off like this and then have no payoff.
I mean, it's Filoni. There's no such thing as a one-off with Filoni. Everything's got to come back. Make a cameo.
Every episode, there's always a dig at Filoni.
It's not a dig. The man.
He indulges.
That hat is the old 10-gallon hat that Filoni wears or whatever it is literally like his power. Like that is this thing will always come back. It's important, It's never a one-off. It will come back. It's just
he's very indulgent. Yeah, so
it's just how Filoni operates. It's not inherently a bad thing. Like, it's not. It can both be a good and a bad thing. The two aren't mutually exclusive.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you indulge too much, you end up with Thor: Love and Thunder, right? Like it's. I
enjoyed that movie, but I totally
love Thor: Love and Thunder, but we can all agree that there was a lot of indulgence in that movie, and like it. I mean, it hindered it, obviously to to fans, I mean, but overindulgence is not a good thing.
No. I enjoyed the episode. I look forward to it. I do feel like, I know it's only 3 episodes. How many episodes is this season? I can't remember what the standard Mandalorian one is. It's like 8 or something. No,
it's something like that. It's some odd, uneven.
I just think it needs to pick up a little bit. I assume it will, because if it is 8, we're halfway through next week. So
yeah. Still love the theme. I still love every time I hear Mando's theme. I kind of
it's a banger. That's if you want to talk about iconic, then the Mando theme is instantly iconic. Everyone knows
it gives me the spaghetti western, feeling. Like he's walking in with the spurs and stuff like that. Like,
I challenge anyone to sit still when that plays.
Yeah, I can't. I love that. I love this theme. I love it's. I'm sure it's on iTunes somewhere. I want to use it.
Oh, it's everywhere. It's on iTunes, on Spotify, it's on YouTube, it's on literally everywhere.
I want to use it as a ringtone. So
we do it. Why not? But yeah, so that's gonna bring this to a close. So thanks all for watching, and we will catch you next time. So bye bye.
Bye bye.